Have you heard the one where I fasted? So, I've been fasting. Today I ate some food. How do I look? um, this is my take on fasting and the spiritual, emotional, physical components that go into it. First off, not medical advice. If you want to do this, talk to your doctor, blah, blah, blah. But this is what I did. Um, I've done it a couple of times, but I tried when I was younger. I tried like in my 30s. Josh could do juicing. Josh was always juicing. And I'm like, oh, I'll juice too. Hangry, oh my gosh. It was like my pancreas was going to explode. Like I couldn't handle it. I don't know what it was about my microbiome. I don't know. It just wasn't my time. I probably went from 0 to 60, tried to do too much too fast. This time around, I took baby steps to get to where I am, which is not that far. Like, I know people who are like water fasting for 40 days. I am not that person. Like, I literally just did like 90 hours on juice, just juice. And then I did a cleanse, which I'll tell you about. It's fascinating. So, why fast? Why do it? I have gotten fascinated by the thought of how things get inside of us. So the digestive tract is really outside of us. So if you think of it, we got the mouth and we got the anus and it goes through, and that is really part of the outside world. It's a tube, it's a tunnel. And it's close to us and it's inside of us, but it's still the outside world. And I like to think about how do things get inside of us? So how can things that we don't want, things that are tainted, things that are sickly, things that are evil, things that don't belong inside of us, how can they get inside of us? Food, drink, aerosols that you're smelling in, spores like mold and fungus, which I haven't figured out, but I know that there's a spiritual connection to mold. I mean, in the Bible, it talks about mold as the leprosy of the house. There's something there, but that's another topic. Insects, vaccines, things can get inside of us, but there's not much that we do every day that really affects us on our internal as much as food. The first time I did this was really just like kind of, through what I heard from God, what I needed to do. And there's always this like conversation, I've spoken about this, where I'm like, are you sure? Is that really what you want me to do? Because, I'm very stubborn. But it was like no grains. I heard, no, you're not going to do grains, and you're not going to do drinks, and you're not going to do sugars, like a lot of sweets, for 3 months. I'm like, 3 months? Do you mean 3 weeks? Do you mean 3 days? No, it was 3 months. And that was hard for me. I had a wedding to go to, which was a wonderful wedding, and their their a rehearsal dinner. So we went to the rehearsal dinner, and it was beautiful. And it was during this fast, of course, and it was at an Italian restaurant with fresh pasta and everything. And you're sitting there with all these people, and all it is bread and fresh pasta. And these are all grains I can't have. And then they come out with the sweets and the treats, and it's all pastries, and I can't have it. Like, I took a vow basically, and I was like, I'm not going to do this for 3 months. And I remember that moment in time, looking at that food and wanting to cry and being so sad, and then realizing what my relationship to food was. Like, getting really honest about like, why do I feel like I need this food to be close to these people? Like, I felt like I was an outsider. Like, I couldn't eat this food. I had mushrooms in a salad. And I was so mad. And it was so sad. It was sad. And I realized that food throughout my whole life was this memory maker. Like, my grandmother, like, she showed her kindness through food. And my mother was a great cook, and the smells of food, I can still like taste it. I can still smell it, and it's so much a part of like my identity, or it was, of like who I am. And like I just remember being like putting food really, really high up on priority. And Josh and I've talked about this with him. It's like, we say, oh, we had a bad day. We deserve this food. Or, you know what, we've been doing really good. We deserve this food. And that's not true. We do not deserve any of this. It's just food. It's food that is energy, and it's supposed to sustain you. And there is sweetness to it, and there is joy to it. But it's not supposed to be as high as I had it on my priority list. So I went through that 3 months, and I got through it, and I started to shift my thinking around food. Then I met my friend Elena, and she is someone who does cleanses. And this is a cleanse. I will drop the link in the little comment section so you can check it out if you want. And so I started doing these cleanses, and what they are is minerals, really. Minerals, a little chlorella here and there, but it's like I think it's some Ukrainian thing. There's a book. It's great. It's amazing. Anyways, started doing that. So as I started to do that, you do this juice fast. So I started a juice fast. And I remember changing churches and finding this church. And the first time I went to this church with Max, I was fasting. And I remember going to church, and he, of course, was talking about fasting. He's like urging people to fast, and why fasting, and this, that, and the other. And it was a great like God wink for sure. And I've continued to this church, and he hasn't talked about it since. So I think that was fantastic. I learned with this round, really kind of got in touch with the gluttony of things, and realizing how much that affects my household. And that's a hard thing to admit. I'm Italian. I want to feed my family. I want to make them happy. And that's, kind of through food. And it's like, oh, here, have some more. And I do it to myself. It's not that I'm an emotional eater, but there's that, I deserve it kind of mentality. And I love sweets. And so, like, doing this cleanse, I had to drink like a ton of this water that was mixed with minerals. It ended up being like 16 cups. And the first time I did it, I'm drinking it and I'm drinking it. And it is literally representing gluttony to me, because now I have had my fill of this liquid, and I am forcing it upon me because I have to get this cleanse done. And the small intestine, I think, was holding a lot of emotions. And that's what you start to find is like through this work on your body, where emotions are like stored and where they hide and where they come out of. So this was a small intestine cleanse. I didn't think much of it until I was bawling my eyes out and realizing, like, I was crying like a little baby, like, I can't do it. I don't want to drink it anymore. And then I realized that's, what I'm doing to myself. Like, I'm piling it on. I'm piling the food onto my family, piling the food on things that are not healthy, things that are not great. I'm a health, conscious person. So of course the things that I say are not healthy are probably healthy in most households. But, bringing up my child with like making up all the food, making the food. And then like he had that issue with, I think back in the video with the move where he couldn't chew, he couldn't eat. And so having to only give him like carbs and things that would digest in his like mouth, that would fall apart in his mouth, and watching him go to skin and bones, it scared me. It was hard. It was frightening. And so like I'm overcompensating now and just trying to get him to eat. He's through it. So I need to balance that back out. So that whole process of gluttony was big for me. I did it again. And so it's like I went back to food and having a different relationship with food. Tried to stay off the grains, tried to stay off the sugars. And then doing the small intestine cleanse again, there were more emotions that came up. They were things that were dying inside of me, whether they be parasites, which happens, or more emotions. It's like all of a sudden I felt this fear of death. Like I felt like death was here. And I've felt that before. And I got nervous. I was doing this fast and I'm like, am I going to die? Is someone around me going to die? Is this, but I started to realize that I talked to God and it's like, it wasn't my fear. It wasn't my fear. It was something inside of me that was afraid to die. And it died that day. And I, conquered that spirit of death and just like kind of get it out. I mean, I think it was a lot of parasites, let's be honest. And they were kicking and screaming and they were dying. And I kind of felt that. So that like like overwhelming doom sometimes that you feel that you may get, check. It might not be yours. And that's one thing that I did start to recognize through this process. It's like, oh, I'm so sad, but I don't know what. Oh, it's not my sadness. Oh, it's not mine. So I don't need to keep it, and I give it. I give it back. Not to them, I give it to him. So after doing this, I, started to shift and change. And of course, I'm still reading the Bible. And we come about the Nazarite vow. So the Nazarite vow is this, crazy vow, probably more Old Testament, but Paul does it in the New Testament. And it's very much to get like a covenant with God, like you're getting closer to God. And it is a voluntary vow. It has a beginning and an end. And you don't do, wine and drinks. You don't do vinegar. You don't shave. Most of this was pretty easy for me. Like not shaving, I was like, fine, no, fine. Josh will be fine. What was hard was the vinegar. Who freaking knew? Vinegar's in everything. I mean, you don't realize it until you cut it out, but vinegar is in everything. So you can't have any condiments, and I love my condiments. And so I wasn't having any condiments. It was bizarre. I kept getting like tricked into it, eating vinegar. Like it kept like coming in and I was like totally unaware until I ate it. And then I was like, son of a gun, that had vinegar in it. I was so mad. But it was almost hilarious that it kept happening because it was in bizarre things where I'm like, there's no vinegar. Oh my gosh, there's vinegar in this. And I'd read it. And what that taught me was like, this is voluntary. I had that angel baby. I was an angel baby, like, I got to do so good and I got to be so good. And I came to terms with like, oh my gosh, he's not like forcing. I mean, no lightning is going to come down and strike me if I drink the vinegar. It's voluntary. And then I started to process that. Everything is voluntary. Everything we do is our choice. He's not coming down and smacking you on the wrist if you do wrong. He wants you to come to him when you do. But like, honestly, the consequences of eating vinegar weren't really that big deal. And so then, through my class, we were doing some work and I was like, we got to figure out, let's get to the depth of what this vinegar thing is all about because it's bizarre. It ended up being bitterness that was settled in my gallbladder, bitterness from my grandmother, bitterness from my mother, bitterness from me, bitterness from my whole life that I've had. And doing these cleanses, doing that Nazarite vow helped my microbiome, but helped my gallbladder to stop producing that bitterness. But then emotionally, I sat with that bitterness and got rid of it and tried to at least. And I think, I'm still working on that. But bitterness is a big one. And I think it harbors and settles in the gallbladder. And that sweetness of life, which is, I think, the opposite, is something that, you struggle in the pancreas with. And there are so many points about food and how it affects us. And in the Bible, just reading, it's like how much in the Bible is really centered around food. It's a little wild if you think about it. I mean, we've got the Manta when they're in the desert, like they're worried about food, getting fed. There's the sacrificed meats. Oh, well, you can't eat that sacrificed meats. It's like the pigs, and the pigs are okay, pigs aren't okay. We got the apple. Hello. The bread of life. I mean, there's something to be said about using food for good and killing ourselves with it. So I plan on doing a water fast. I am not there yet. My plan is after the summer to do a 15-day water fast. That's what I've been hearing. I don't know. I'm gonna try it. I'll double check, because 15 days is a lot of days without food or drink or juice. It's just water. But I do feel spiritually more sober. I feel more connected. I feel like the clouds, the veils, the static disperses with fasting. There's something to be said about the physical components, the apoptosis, which is like cell die-off, like cells that are dirty or broken or just needs fixing. Like they slough off after like 72 hours of like fasting and no food. The ketosis, the things that happen in your body after fasting are kind of miraculous. I mean, he kind of put that in as like a reset button. And I think that's why they talk about it so much in the Bible about fasting, is you do feel when you're healthily adjusted, like if you're so far where you need a lot of help, I wouldn't suggest it. Like for your, like, I guess, just for your cell health, if it's really gone awry, you might have to work your way up to it. But doing a fast when you're a pretty healthy adult individual, it's miraculous. And there's so many studies now for cancer and different things and fasting. So I wouldn't be surprised at all that they're going to start finding out a lot more stuff. But even just the microbiome, even the things, I mean, we have more bacteria in our body than we do our own, cells and DNA. Like their DNA, we've got more of them than we do of us. But again, it's on the outside, really. It's not really inside of us. There's probably some stuff inside too, but with the digestive tract, a lot of them house in the, large intestine. And rebalancing them, getting the yeast out, getting the candida out. Wow, you shift, you change your skin, your eyes, your brain fog. A lot of things kind of just leave. And it's a different emotional component and acceptance of your body. So one thing that is, constant is change. And as we get older, we start to, miss our old ways or miss our old bodies or miss what we could do or what we used to could eat and what we used to could drink. But like, if you really accept who you are in every moment, and as you shift and change and as you get older and get the wrinkles and the things, slow down, how can we accept that? Like, I can't eat a cheeseburger and drink beer before bed and be okay. I cannot do that. And that's okay. It's okay. So how can we accept the changes that our bodies are going through physically and emotionally and gain wisdom from that? So I think that's about it. That's all I really got to say about it. Hit me up if you have any questions about it, and wish me luck with that water fast. It'll be a doozy.